Okay, Holly, right, before I answer your questions, this reporting area of the syllabus is critical, and I want to walk through it quickly, but just to put the steps in your mind, because you will get a section on this, so you want to be totally comfortable with what's going on here. I mean, it's the chapter reporting, so you could review it again, but hopefully once I talk about it again and you review it, it allows you just to kind of connect the dots and just be totally comfortable with the chapter. There's nothing major. You've come to the end of your work, and now it's literally to release the information to the users. But of course, we have to. I mean, I'm just literally walking through the page. You now have to kind of put together this report, if you like, of yours. And this report is doing a few things. Ultimately, we're trying to form an opinion, if you like, and we're trying to do that through a report. So let's jump very quick. I mean, you could get asked these could be knowledge questions, but this is just this general idea that you've done everything you should, if you like. You've looked at the estimates, you're happy the information is relevant, reliable, comparable, understandable. These are fundamental accounting concepts. These concepts are the background, right, to what we now see as concepts, if you like, forgive me. So when we talk about whatever completeness and materiality and business entity and objectivity, blah blah blah, going concern, these are the fundamental, right, the underlying. But that's not this is where the issue is. It's this report. You could get asked really what's in the report, and I think, hopefully, I'm sure you've done questions now that have looked at that. But ultimately, you can get asked what's in the report, or how is the report structured. Now, it's really important to be comfortable with the idea that there's a difference between the opinion in the report and a report. You see, and I'm sure you're happy with that. The opinion is based, if you like, on the financial statements. What the business releases to its shareholders is a much bigger document, if you like. It contains operating financial review. It contains the management, the chairman's review. It contains, they might have done a social audit. There's a triple bottom line reporting now. Might have integrated reporting, so they might have put a few other things in there, and you as an auditor really focusing on the finance, so to speak, or the financial statements, and that's what you want to be careful to signal. We want to signal that to our users. So, but apart from that, there are other issues why we have to think about it sort of bigger than, it's not all about the opinion, right? So that's the first thing, and you'll see a little chart that's very clear, and I'll go through that in a second. But let's just go through the report. This is you being totally happy when we refer to what we call an unmodified auditor's report. Now, for any report, what you will always have, if you like, is what's referred to, of course, as your opinion. And in your opinion, you will state whether the accounts are true and fair. So here it says, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects, or give a true and fair view. So the first heading is opinion. So this is really critical. Now, the reason we've been able to do this, or come up with an opinion, it goes back to the origin of the audit. An audit is an assurance engagement with a high level of assurance, because we have a context or benchmarks to work with, if you like, to measure. So if we go in and say, oh, revenue is material, why? Because we have a benchmark to say, well, there's a standard to which we consider things to be, for what to be, if you like, this is a benchmark. And for example, the benchmark for us could be a profit after tax is whatever 5% of entire revenue. So if it's with or without that 5%, then we're happy or we're not happy, if you see where I'm going. So we have benchmarks, we have standards. So ultimately, we're moving very nicely to the next level, which is talking about the basis for opinion. So it says we conducted our audit in accordance with the international standards on auditing. So we actually have standards that we use to actually prepare our audit, to follow the process of our audit, which is why we can't really have a high-level audit for, say, cash flow, because they don't have standards, if you like, or internal controls. There are no standards. So you could just be carrying out a basic sort of, when I say a basic, an assurance engagement with a low level of assurance. Right. So the next thing, excuse me. The next thing to look at is what's referred to as key audit matters. I think it was one of the earlier questions you did, where you have just thought there are a few things we just want to bring out. Maybe there's a new system in place that you just thought they were significant. There's no problem. Everything's fine. These are just big topics. Maybe there's a new source of funding, and there's a new there's something in particular you want to focus on, and that you just want to. It doesn't affect your opinion, but you just want to address it. Then people have been talking about it, maybe in other meetings, and you want to come out and talk about it. And this what's referred to as other information, and we'll come to the report itself. But really, you can see clearly here is the point that you've said that our opinion does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance. And other information, like what I said earlier on, the chairman's statement, he can say anything he likes. Oh, it's been a wonderful year. What does wonderful mean? This is a very subjective word, so we can't start auditing the term wonderful. And we typically, because these get written after we've done our work, we get to look at it, but technically there's nothing we can do about it. So we have nothing to report in this regard. Now, the final two bits that you should just have standard are their responsibilities and our responsibilities. And so you can see that the onus and the responsibility really lies with the auditor, with the management, to make sure that they have done the work ultimately to ensure the internal controls are in place. It's a going concern. And that's really the issue here. And the accounts are prepared in accordance with international financial reporting standards. So that's where we are. So to enable, these are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. So then there's our responsibilities, where we have done this to the best of our ability. We've been ethical about our work. And reasonable assurance is a high level assurance, but we're still sort of, if you like, saying that we've done what we were supposed to do. So those are the areas that you really, and you can please quickly read through that again. But and then, of course, finally report on if there's anything else, like any other legal and regulatory requirements, and then we sign off. So very quickly, looking at the sections, you have, these are the different sections. I mean, yes, if you're asked just to write these sections out, maybe of course title and addressee, but I don't think these are strong enough sections. I think what you want to talk about very clearly is the auditor's opinion, giving true and fair, the basis of the opinion. We've used international standards on auditing, key audit matters, other information, responsibilities of management, and responsibilities of ourselves, the auditors. And if you remember this, and these are all the other ones. So I mean, it's up to you, but those are the big ones. Those are things you actually want to address. Now, very quickly, talking about the opinion. This is what I was saying earlier on. We have like I said, the audit report. Now, what are we saying? We have an unmodified report where everything's perfect. You are totally happy with the going concern. There are no extenuating circumstances. Everything's perfect there. But that's not always the case. Within an unmodified report, you will have an unmodified opinion as well. So you'll have an unmodified opinion that's totally brand new. You're like, listen, the accounts themselves are true and fair, and that's great. Now, you can have scenarios where you will have an unmodified opinion, as in the actual accounts themselves are true. But think about it like this. Imagine you're preparing the accounts for 2017, and the accounts are true and fair and everything's fine. But for 2018, they're having going concern issues. So what we're saying is that, listen, if we pretend there's absolutely nothing wrong, that will mislead users. So, but the accounts themselves for 2017 are fine. So we give an unmodified opinion with that regard. But we want to draw your attention, if you like, to this issue of a going concern. And when I say draw your attention, what we're really saying is that the management has already disclosed clearly in the financial statements that they're having going concern issues. If management have not disclosed that they're having going concern issues, then, if you like, because you see, we audit the disclosures as well. This is really important. So as part of our saying something's true and fair, we're saying everything's been disclosed. So if something's not disclosed, well, we can't give an unmodified opinion. We have to give a modified opinion. So what we're saying, in effect, really is that they have disclosed everything. There is a going concern issue for the future, and therefore the opinion for this year is fine. The disclosures are fine, but it's important that we bring this to your attention. So going concern sits on its own as a separate heading. Now, emphasis of matter are all other significant maybe issues that are not going concern, if you like, because going concern is so serious, if you like, we have its own heading. So emphasis of matter, they might be having suffering, they might be, I don't know, potential customer who they will lose in the future, um, or there might be some significant financing events. Let's look at some of their um, some of the issues here with the emphasis of matter, some litigation. So, in effect, one could almost argue major catastrophe that has significance on the entity's financial position. If you like, in effect, because you see, in of effect, this you could almost argue. I mean, again, this is all judgment that there are. One could argue that maybe this is a going concern matter, but not really. These are sort of separate issues that we're just waiting to see. We don't really know, so it'll be unfair to call these going concern issues. But I understand the the sentiment. It says, but just to give you a total different heading: early application of a new accounting standard. Um, Mm. Something along those lines. I don't, but no one's going to be asking you to do this. I think it's just this awareness that we have this situation here where we have emphasis of matter. Yes, unmodified opinion. We're saying the accounts themselves are true and fair for 2017, but hey, there's a going concern which has been disclosed, emphasis of matter which has been disclosed, and other matters, and then possibly other information. So look at those, and then, or you have a situation where I'm just not happy. I'm just not happy with the accounts, and we talked about that already in earlier videos where you're not happy with the accounts. So we had two reasons, like I said earlier on: materially misstated, or you just can't find enough evidence. So if it's material, one thing, qualified opinion, true and fair, except for this one thing. Or we can't find one thing, just we can't find enough information on this one thing. True and fair, except for this one thing that we can't find any information. Or we just disagree with a lot of balances, we give an adverse opinion as material and pervasive, or we just can't find enough information for a lot of things that we use a disclaimer of opinion. Right? Okay, great. So that's the end of that video, but that was just a quick revision on reporting that you must be comfortable with. Cool, great stuff.